What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content that we have coming out. Now, I am really excited about this issue because we are jumping into the medieval times with Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 1. Now, this is a limited series of 12 issues coming from Tom Taylor. Not only is this awesome issue out today, but we also have Superman, Batman, and the Authority, which brings us back to the dark multiverse, to a world where the League of Shadows has turned into the Empire of Shadows. And so with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so this story starts us out on Krypton. And one of the most iconic moments of Krypton is the final moments before its destruction. And we pick up with the biological parents of Kal-El, with Jor-El and Laura-El, with her about to give birth any moment, with the destruction of Krypton creeping in on them. They send that space shuttle off-world. They shoot it off-world and it has a trajectory for Earth. And with it crash landing, with this spaceship opening up inside, we do not find an infant child, but we find the two parents. And right now, she is in deep labor, about ready to give birth. But as Jor-El looks around him, he hears the hoofbeats. He sees the cavalry come riding in, trying to let them know that they are not a threat to them, begging them not to do this as they shoot arrows and they throw spears. And so, fearing for his family's life, we see his eyes begin to glow red, and from them, a giant explosion. With this blast, everything in his eyesight gets vaporized. And when he looks down, he sees that Kal-El has been born. With our now mother asking what happened, Jor-El says nothing, letting her know that everything is going to be alright. And as it pans out, we see surrounding them in a great radius, nothing but steel left over. And as this is all happening, over in the Kingdom of Storms, the kingdom where Black Lightning is the king, they sit in a little hut and they listen to the prophet. In some kind of trance, we have a young Constantine. And in this trance, he is spouting a prophecy. And this prophecy is of the House of El, the Kingdom of El coming to this world, saying that they will come here, saying that the Green Man waits. Fire and blood, gods will be born and gods will be killed. That when you look up to the sky, you will see our end. And so that is where our story begins. And we are taken 19 years into the future, picking up at the Castle of El. And right now we have a young Bruce, who is known as the Bat Prince. And right now he is about to head out on a mission for the House of El. Alongside him, Alfred Pennyworth. And we have Kal-El that is trying to tag along. Now, obviously, he wants to go along to be able to help Bruce. With his powers, with his abilities, he believes that he should be there all times, being able to help him out. The only issue is, there is magic in this world, and they have come to learn that Kryptonians, they are weak to magic. And the young Bat Prince has sworn to protect this family. He has sworn himself to the House of El. And right now he is going against someone they refer to as the Banshee, wielding some kind of magical ability. It is not something Bruce wants to put Kal-El up against. And so the two of them ride off, leaving Kal-El in the distance. And later that night, they arrive at a village. And we learn very quickly that Bruce still has his network of Robins. And they have been scoping out the village, keeping eyes on Banshee, letting Bruce know that she is in town at the local Pullman. This place being an inn where people can rest for the night. And we have Duke, we have Richard, we have Jason and Stephanie, all clearing out locals in the area, ensuring that there will be no civilian casualties, not knowing what kind of force they can expect, not knowing if Banshee is in there completely alone, we see Bruce make his way inside, being able to pop the lock and get inside of her room. He is able to have the element of surprise and have his sword drawn on her while she is sleeping. Now, our young Bat Prince believes that Dinah has been sent here by the King Jefferson as an assassin. Now, Dinah lets him know that she has no ill towards the House of El. She wishes them no harm whatsoever. And with Bruce ignoring this, letting her know that the law of the land is no magic doers are allowed in the Kingdom of El. And just by being here, she is breaking that law. And so Bruce says that she will be put under arrest and she will be treated fairly if she gives herself up. Now, obviously, she's not gonna do that. And we hear our Banshee scream. And this scream blows out the walls, it blows out the windows. Bruce is left here in agonizing pain. But the only thing, he is not dead. He is still standing when any regular mortal would have been taken out by that. And even Dinah has to ask, how are you still alive after that? With him having no clue, she goes to yell again to let out her screech, only for Kal-El to come in and close her mouth. But looking down at her, Kal-El, he doesn't see a monster. He doesn't see a criminal or an assassin. He sees a young woman who is scared, who is trying to protect herself. Now, this is where Bruce comes up and hits her in the back of the head, knocking her out so they can take her back to the dungeons. And so with her knocked out, they head out and they head back to the castle. Upon arriving back at the castle, we see Harley Quinn, who appears to be a jester, or at least that's the idea behind it. And it makes sense, medieval times, Harley Quinn gonna be the jester, so on and so forth. But they are quickly summoned to the throne room, and the question that Jor-El must ask is, why did you bring Kal-El with you? Knowing the danger, knowing the magic that can hurt him. And Bruce immediately goes to say that it's his fault that he wasn't thinking, immediately covering for Kal-El. But Kal-El tells him that there's no need for this, that I went of my own accord, saying that he will not simply stand by as Bruce and others put their lives on the line trying to protect this family, especially not when axes break on my skin. And this is when Bruce gives a report saying that Banshee is now down in the dungeons. And Kal-El has some real concerns about this, because she wasn't coming for them. The House of El came for her. Now, Bruce says that one of his Robins that are in the court of King Jefferson had let him know that there is an assassin on the way. And to be more specific, a magical assassin. But Kal-El, he pleads with his father, telling him that this woman is not that assassin. And how can we sit here and talk about what is right, what is good, when we lock up innocent people? With Bruce immediately interjecting, saying that they are not innocent, they are magic. And Jor-El tells Kal-El it's as simple as keeping us alive, that we are the last of our race, and if we do not take every measure to ensure our safety, it could simply be the downfall of us all. Now, as Bruce goes to bow and say that he will continue to do what is necessary for the kingdom, he is told that he doesn't have to bow, that his parents were loved by them. And so in this court, he will never have to take a knee. And if it were up to Jor-El, Bruce would be sitting there in that seat right now. Though humans have the customs of only having heritage take up the line of success. So Bruce sees this as an absolute crazy idea. The idea of someone like him taking the throne of a literal god. But even Kal-El thinks that's an absolute ridiculous way to put it, saying simply, who cares where you come from? Who cares about your lineage? And as these two go to get in an argument about tradition and so on and so forth, Jor-El takes Bruce aside, taking him high up on the castle, looking down from the castle walls. They start to have a discussion, and something is obviously bothering Bruce. And so Jor-El, he asks the question, what's going on with you? Outside of the normal, what is on your mind? And it's that Bruce, he literally took a giant hit from Banshee. He took that screech and he is still standing, where any normal mortal man would have died. And realizing that he's still alive, it makes him think that there has to be some kind of magic inside of him as well. That he must be one of these humans that have magic abilities. Now we know them as metahumans, and because of this, he feels like he is living a lie, like he should not be here, that he should be locked away in that dungeon as well, believing himself to be cursed. Now, picking up in the forest outside of the castle, we have our Green Arrow, we have our Robin Hood. And as he sits here and gets ready to launch his arrow, we see what appears to be a Green Lantern ring. And this ring charges up his arrow. We see Green Arrow take it and he shoots it off into the sky. And so picking back up with Jor-El, he is letting him know that he probably has more reason to hate magic than anyone else. But he is not cursed, telling him that he's sorry he believes this, that he has kept a secret from him for far too long now. And this is where he divulges that him and Martha, they had an affair, a mistake on their part, but resulting in the birth of Bruce. And so we are learning that he is half human, half Kryptonian. He is the son of Jor-El, and that is exactly why Jor-El believes he should be the one to sit on that throne. A person from both worlds being able to connect them together, believing that he would be loved by all of the people. And right in the middle of this conversation, that arrow comes flying out of nowhere and it hits Jor-El right in the eye. And we see the king go falling to the ground. With the lightning cracking in the background, we see Bruce's eyes begin to glow red. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 2, we are picking up exactly where we left off, with Jor-El dying in the arms of Bruce. And as his newfound father slowly begins to die, we see the red inside of Bruce's eyes. Now finding out that he is half Kryptonian, he has learned why over the years he has been able to survive everything he has. And in this state of anger, he finds a whole new level of power. And hearing the scream, we have Clark and his mother running up to Jor-El's side. As they hold him and they plead and they mourn, we have Batman going out on the ride, going out on the hunt. With Alfred already having horses ready, they're going after the Archer. They are going after the Green Man. Now, as the two of them make their way to Hob Forest, an arrow comes flying out of the woodline. Almost hitting Alfred, we see Bruce grab it out of midair. Now having a trajectory, Bruce knows exactly where Green Arrow is. And with Batman hopping off of his horse, jumping into the woods, he unsheaths his sword and he takes a swing at Green Arrow. With Green Arrow wounded and falling to the ground, we see Batman following after him, asking where he is. Where is the Green Man? Now Alfred, he goes and stops Bruce, thinking that he is going to go too far, thinking that he is about to kill Green Arrow. But the truth is that Bruce has no intent of murder this night, because you cannot interrogate someone who is dead. Now that is what's going to take us to the Kingdom of Storms, the Kingdom of Black Lightning. And we have the Green Man flying over to Constantine. Now it doesn't show us who the Green Man is, but the Green Man tells Constantine that the job is done. Zor-El is officially dead, and that he left Oliver Queen behind, the ring instructing him to do so. And so with this news, Constantine goes and tells the king. He goes and informs Black Lightning of exactly what has happened, that the deed is done and Jor-El is officially off the chessboard. And Black Lightning right now, he is out there training with his family. We see both thunder, we see lightning, but there is one more addition to this family. There is Jacob, and his power set is being able to control the rain. And so as all three of the children are demonstrating their powers, with Jacob making it rain, it comes pouring down on top of Constantine. But we see Black Lightning and Constantine go off to the side. Having a little bit of privacy, they talk about what just transpired. Because this act against Jor-El, it was done because of the Constantine visions, because of the prophecy he was foretelling. But even Constantine, he's not sure if this was a good idea, because the thing about prophecies, you never know what leads to them. Their actions this day could lead to the inevitable prophecy that he saw. The biggest problem is that the elves, they have been locking away anybody that seems to have quote-unquote magic. If they are a meta-human, the House of L sees them as possible threats. And because of this, they lock them away down in the dungeon. And Black Lightning, he fears that their kingdom will not hold up against the L's, that eventually they will come for them. And so not being able to guarantee a future with the aliens living on Earth, he feels like this is the only course of action that they can take. But Constantine can guarantee one thing. He can guarantee that the House of L, they are livid. Now, this is where we pick up in the L court. And right now, we have General Amanda Waller currently saying that they need to go to war. That there is no question about this. This was an assassination attempt by King Jefferson. Not only was this an attempt, it was successful. Jor-El has been murdered. And there is only one person out there that would truly want this, or would even have the nerve to go out and assassinate the king. Now, obviously, Alfred, he is opposed to this idea. The idea of shedding thousands of lives, not knowing if this is in fact the culprit, when this is truly a fight between kings. It is not a fight of the people, and so innocent lives cannot be spared in this fight, at least not yet. Now, through all of the arguing, our jester Harley Quinn, she chimes in and asks Bruce if he is going to say anything in this. Clark speaking up and saying that this is a family matter, that Bruce has no say-so when it comes to what they do next. Now, obviously, no one else currently knows the truth of who his true father is, and it doesn't appear that Bruce is ready to divulge that information, not just yet. Not only that, Bruce doesn't say anything because he does feel responsible for Jor-El dying. He was sitting there right by his side. He should have been able to save him. He blames himself for this, and so he carries a heavy burden. But Alfred's biggest concern is that this war, it is going to be bigger than anything anyone has ever seen. That all the nations will be dragged into this war. Willing or unwilling, they're not going to have a choice. Kingdoms are gonna have to pick sides. And this is something that all of them would like to avoid. At least most of them, outside of General Waller herself, really want to try to avoid an all-out bloodshed war. Now that is what takes us to the Amazon island. Lois Lane has made the great journey here. As she gets off the boat, she is greeted by the Queen of the Amazons. But she doesn't have much time for pleasantries. And she says that she needs to talk to the princess immediately. Being directed towards the training fields, this is where we find Diana. This is where we find Wonder Woman. With Diana seeing Lois Lane, she believes this might be a joyous occasion, being happy to see an old friend. But Lois Lane has come with dire news. She has come to inform the princess that her father has died, because the princess we are referring to is not Wonder Woman. It is Princess Zala-El, the daughter of Jor-El, the sister of Clark. And after hearing about the death of her father, hearing about the death of the King Jor-El, she drops her sword to the ground in sorrow and telling Wonder Woman that she has to go. Wonder Woman saying that she will do anything she can to help her out in this time of need. And we see the two of them kiss. Now this is huge because this is showing us a almost relationship marriage type bond between these two kingdoms. So if the Amazons are going to end up taking a side in this war, they are going to be siding with the House of L. At the very least, Wonder Woman will be siding with the House of L. And so if a war is to come, we are talking about multiple Supermen. We are talking about Wonder Woman. We are talking about Batman. These are not small obstacles. In fact, this is our three. This is our trinity. And this is a trinity stronger than ever because Batman has all of his intelligence, has all of his knowledge as a tactician. And to push it even a little bit further, he is now half Kryptonian. Or he always has been, but he is now just finding out that he has power that has not been tapped into yet, only being used in extremely stressful situations. Now, picking up in the dungeons of the House of L, we have Clark wanting to go and interrogate Green Arrow. And the only thing standing in his way is Bruce and Harley. Now, right now, Clark, He is infuriated. And Bruce and Harley, they're not sure what he is capable of right now. Worried that he might tear Green Arrow limb from limb and they won't get the answers that they need. Now, the two of them, they reluctantly step aside. Now, Clark lets Green Arrow know that he could kill him simply with a glance. Green Arrow believing him to be some horrible monster, to be some alien menace. And Clark tries to relate to him that that's not who they are, that they're not monsters, they're not here to hurt anybody. But this is something that is very hard to relay to people when you have an entire dungeon full of people that haven't committed a crime. You're just afraid that they might. But Clark lets them know that they are not going to kill him, because at the end of the day, the elves are not killers. Now, picking back up in the Kingdom of Storms, we have King Jefferson waking up to a loud, thunderous clap. Not sure what this was, going to check on Thunder to see if it was her, but she comes out of her room and she had nothing to do with this. And so rushing down into Jacob's room, Black Lightning busts through the door, only to find the Princess Zala-El. With her breaking through the castle wall, she is holding Jacob in the air, with Black Lightning screaming to put him down. She tells him that that is the idea. She flies him high up into the sky, with Jacob saying that he is not scared, that he would make it rain inside of her lungs. With her laughing this off, she lets go of Jacob, and we see Jacob go falling from the sky. Black Lightning taking every bit of lightning that he can harness, and he shoots it directly at El. And the princess, she takes that entire blast and lets him know that it tickles. And with Black Lightning falling to his knees, Jacob appearing to be dead, with Zala-El flying off into the distance, our war has officially begun. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 3, we are picking up on a starry night. And we have been told that there is a prophecy, someone coming from the stars. And we have a one Jimmy Olsen, who is currently looking up at the sky. As he monitors everything going on, he sees a bright green light. With it falling down to earth, he calls for one of the Robins. Because whatever is happening, they need Batman. Batman being currently caught up in court. And that is because he is sitting here with General Waller, the Queen, Kal-El, and Harley Quinn. And they are currently discussing the pros and cons of investigating what this actually was. With them on the brink of war, with their king just assassinated, General Waller believes it is a bad idea to have Batman going outside on some kind of adventure, some kind of treasure hunt. But if they are to believe the prophecy, this is how everything begins. This is how the end begins. Of course, many in this court, they believe that's simply a superstition. With Kal-El's mother, the Queen, giving him permission to go on this mission, to go quickly with Alfred and find out what it was. And once Zala Jor-El returns, they will have a burial for the king. Meanwhile, picking up in a different location, we have some men riding on horseback. One of them is the Metal Man. And as they ride, they see something they believe to be just a peasant. That is until they get close up and personal. We realize that this is Zala Jor-El, being told that she is trespassing on Magnus' land. She does not care, saying that it will not belong to Magnus much longer. She wastes no time in brutally dispatching all of these men. With undeniable speed, with unchecked strength, she rips them apart. And what appears to be happening is Zala Jor-El is going around to all of the kingdoms, and she is letting them know who is in charge. After the assassination of her father, she is left completely unchecked. Now that's what's going to take us to the Amazon island, picking up with the Queen of the Amazons and Diana. Lois Lane now being one of the residents on this island, they are currently discussing what is going to happen next. And that is because they have the arrival of King Jefferson. He has come to the island, not allowed to step foot on it. He has come for negotiations. With Constantine along by his side, they all propose to go inside the ship and have a discussion to talk about their treaty and the impending war that is about to happen. Now this discussion, it begins with King Jefferson letting them know that Zala had assassinated his child. Jacob being one of the few individuals that controls rain, something that they haven't seen in their generational line in so many years. And while this is a tragedy, Wonder Woman has to bring up the fact that the king had been assassinated, Jor-El had been killed, and Black Lightning is the one to give that order. And he does not deny this, saying that he had no other choice. The threat that they show to this world, the prophecy, he knows that it is inevitable. It is inevitable for the House of El to try to take over the world. And he reveals to all of them that Zala Jor-El is the one that murdered Jacob. Wonder Woman not able to believe this, believing she would never do something like this, that it would be completely out of character for her ever to try something like this. But King Jefferson saw this with his own eyes, watched as she smiled, releasing Jacob, and he fell to his death. With the discussion getting extremely heated, King Jefferson came to ask one simple question. Are you going to stand by the Kingdom of Storms like you have for years and years? Will you uphold our treaty? If the war drums begin to bang, do we have your allegiance? And our queen lets King Jefferson know that it will stand, that if war is at their doorstep, the Amazons will answer the call. This obviously infuriates Wonder Woman. She is currently in love with one of the elves. So obviously this is something that is very difficult for her to accept. Not believing that her partner actually did that. Believing that this is all just a misunderstanding. That there has to be some trickery here. And so what Wonder Woman is really letting us know is that it is possible this is somebody else, that it's not necessarily Zala Jor-El, with Wonder Woman heading off to try to figure out who this is, to try to find out what the actual truth is. Is this some kind of copycat? Is this someone pretending to be Zala? Or is Wonder Woman's worst fears going to come true and she is going to find out the one she cares about is out here assassinating children? With the discussions coming to an end, we have Black Lightning sailing back home, with him being confident that their agreement, their treaty, will hold with the Amazons. His intention was to get as heated as he did. He's been playing this game of king for so long. One of his goals was to get Wonder Woman off of that island. The one voice that would stand up for the House of El. That voice has now been removed from the island. And so when war does come, there will be nobody that really opposes this. And though it may be the Amazon's greatest weapon, she may be obligated to side with the queen, with her mother, obligated to go against the elves. And as they sail across these waters, this is when they spot something off in the distance floating up in the sky. That something is Zala Jor-El, with Black Lightning not hesitating even for a second. He takes all the electricity he can and he blasts it directly at her. With her being knocked from the sky, sinking down into the water, nobody has eyes on her. That is until a water tornado comes right through the hole, with the masses being torn down, with the ship going into utter destruction. Everyone is forced to abandon ship, and in the middle of all the chaos, we see Zala Jor-El take a wooden stake and drive it right through the chest of King Jefferson, whispering in his ear as he dies, "No more kings." And with that, she flies off into the distance. With them shipwrecked, Constantine still alive. The king is dead. Picking up in the land of Magnus, we have Batman and Alfred making their way through what looks like an absolute carnage, with the Metal Man and his forces dead all around them, and a giant crater in the ground. Whatever this was, whatever created this crater, it is now gone. With them investigating a little bit closer, that is where they find some kryptonite. With Alfred picking it up and showing it to Batman, we see that it weakens him. Being half Kryptonian, it is poisonous to him. Going to tell Alfred who he truly is. Alfred lets him know that he already knew. He knows all of it, and in fact, it is time that he learns the truth. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 4, we have Alfred putting away this little piece of kryptonite that they had found. finding just a fragment of this stuff. At this point, they don't really know what it is. All they know is when Bruce Wayne goes around it, it makes him feel very weak. But putting that to the side just for a moment, Bruce Wayne is truly struggling with everything that he has been doing over the years, because he has been hunting down people with the exact same abilities that he has. Not exact same abilities, but people of metahuman powers. His entire life has been the hunt, and now he feels like a hypocrite because he feels like he is one of them. But Alfred lets him know that he is definitely not the first person of power to live in hypocrisy. And up to this point in his life, he believed that he was getting rid of magic, getting rid of metahumans for a good purpose. And that is because what happened to his parents. But with Bruce Wayne still really unsure of who he might be, this is when Alfred begins to tell us the story, beginning with the day that what appeared to be a comet was falling out of the sky. But what it really was the L family, a new family on a brand new world, with them building a small cabin out in the middle of the forest, away from everyone and all civilization. But at night, they would stay up with their super hearing, they would listen to the conversations, they would learn the language, they would learn the customs. And on this small, remote piece of land, the two of them truly found happiness. And then one night, the earth, it began to shake, feeling a tremor. This reminded both of them of Krypton. Waking from their sleep, realizing that they're not on Krypton, that this was just an earthquake, but they want to go find out the source of it. And the source is Mount Kristoff. It is on the verge of erupting. And while the L family, they could just pack up and they could leave, the entire village nearby, the entire kingdom nearby, will be completely obliterated if they say and do nothing. Of course, Jor-El, he is completely against showing themselves to the humans at all, believing that if they do this, they will always be on the run and they will eventually have to find a new planet. And so the two of them, they decide that they are going to devise a plan. They are going to help them indirectly, drawing up blueprints of how the kingdom may be able to defend themselves by digging trenches and possibly even being able to project where debris might fall. And with the plan set in stone, we see Jor-El fly to the kingdom and hand the letter to somebody. That somebody being Alexander Luthor. And though he was given instruction to give it to the king to ensure the Wayne family got this news, Lex Luthor burned it. And as the eruption became nearer and nearer, the elves finally decided to go knock on the front door to ask King Thomas what the heck is going on, asking why they haven't made the proper preparations to avoid this giant catastrophe. And we have Lex Luthor completely denying ever getting a letter and saying that there is no concern, there is no worry, that he has looked to the stars and the stars have shown him no eruption. But as soon as those words leave his lips, that is when the mountain explodes with lava, and Laura cannot stop herself, telling Jor-El that they can save all of them, pushing her way through all of the guards and standing toe-to-toe with the king and queen. She lets them know that she is a friend, and they have watched from afar. They know them to be good and fair rulers. And though they may not be from here, they have the ability to save the entire kingdom. The only thing they ask in return is to watch young Kal-El, to ensure his safety and nothing happens to him while they are away trying to stop this devastation. Leaving their son with the queen, the two of them, they fly off and they go show the world exactly what they are capable of. With them diverting all of the lava, any debris that comes towards the city, they knock out of the sky. With the two of them saving the day, Alexander Luthor had been banned. He was banished from the land. And with his banishment, he made his way to the countryside. This is where he ran into a green rock. Upon approaching it, it explodes, and the green light completely consumes him. And so with the L family being celebrated as heroes, they were brought in as advisors. They helped Thomas and Martha through anything they could do, and in a moment of weakness, a night that Alfred says was just a mistake, Jor-El and Martha, they conceive a child. And this act, this one mistake, this one time, this one night, it almost tore this kingdom in half. But Thomas, after hearing that his wife was with child, him unable to have children, Bruce Wayne was born into the world. And with his birth, the hatred subsided, and that was because the love of a child. Setting aside any regrets, setting aside any jealousy, they forgave each other and they focused on their kingdom and their children. And so one day, the families, they go off, jumping into some carriages and heading down the road because not everyone can fly. Of course, young Kal-El tells them that maybe they just haven't jumped off a high enough point yet, and then maybe they'll discover that they in fact can fly. But this day would be the day that everything changed, because this is the day that the Green Man attacked, blowing up one of the carriages, believing that he was targeting the L's. He hit the wrong carriage and he killed the Waynes. This was the first appearance of the Green Man, of the cruel Joker. And in the fiery green destruction, we have Thomas and we have Martha, both of them lying with their last breath. We have Bruce Wayne, who is completely unharmed. Jor-El, in a fit of rage, he goes charging after Lex Luthor. And with Martha's dying breath, she lets Lara know that her and Jor-El must run the kingdom. While Bruce Wayne is the rightful heir to the throne, she doesn't believe the people will accept him once they find out he was made out of wedlock. Because of the times, because of the customs, she doesn't believe that the people would accept him. But the saviors, Lara and Jor-El, the people could accept that. And the only thing she asks in return is to raise Bruce Wayne as her own. And so Alfred lets him know that no matter how much you are feeling right now that you don't know yourself, I know exactly who you are. I know exactly who you were raised by and the blood that runs through your veins. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 5, we are picking up in the Kingdom of El. And standing next to the burial site of Jor-El is his daughter. This is Zala. Finally making her return back to the kingdom, she has come to pay her respects. And while she is here, she runs into Kal, apologizing to him, saying that she should have come sooner. But she has been preoccupied hunting down the Green Man. And what we see from the two of them is that both of them, they are struggling. The death of their father is heavily weighing on both of their heads. Both of them wanting some kind of justice. And Kal-El, he promises that that justice, it will come in due time. But that is what takes us to the Hob Forest. And we have Harley Quinn making her way through here. As she goes through, she is going to meet the one and only Queen of the Forest, Queen Ivy. And the reason that Harley Quinn has come to the forest today is to ask Poison Ivy for some kind of protection. Not just for herself, but the entire kingdom of El. The forest surrounding the kingdom could be one of the best defenses they ever had. Now Ivy, she's not a big fan of the elves, of everything they do, believing that they shouldn't be the powerhouse they are. She also cannot refuse Harley Quinn, being completely infatuated with her, being in love with her, and wanting her to stay here in Hob Forest with her. Harley Quinn, she really believes that she is best suited out there in the world, making sure innocent people can survive, at least to the best of her ability, when you have people like the elves that are in charge. And so against Ivy's better judgment, being willing to bury an entire army for Harley Quinn, she vows to her that nobody will get through this forest that intends to do harm to anybody in the Kingdom of El. And in that moment, the trees, they begin to speak to her, letting her know that somebody flying high above the trees, they are making their way to El. Not sure if this is someone that is going to be a threat. Ivy and Harley Quinn, they go above the tree line to examine who this might be. And what we see is our Amazon. We see Wonder Woman grabbing her and her Pegasus out of the sky with the vines. They grapple around them like tentacles and drag them down to the earth, with Wonder Woman demanding that they stand aside. This is something that Ivy simply will not do. And so with the battle getting underway, we see Wonder Woman, she goes over, grabs some trees, and starts swinging them like baseball bats. And with Diana just ripping this forest apart, Ivy can no longer stand by and just let this happen. Using her powers, she wraps Wonder Woman up in as many vines as possible, pulling her all down to the ground until she is on her knees. And with Ivy standing directly in front of her, Wonder Woman saying that she cannot be held. But she also lets Ivy know that she doesn't want violence, and at least not with the forest and not with her. But also reminds her that she could crush her skull if she really wanted to. Ivy letting her know that she could just as equally do as much damage using a fungus or some kind of spore going into her eye. The truth of the matter, they are both very formidable foes. With Harley Quinn chiming in before anything gets more out of hand. She wants to take everything down just a little bit, take it down a notch and try to have a conversation, asking Wonder Woman why she came to this place. She is in search of Zala, because Zala, she has been accused of attacking the Jefferson family, attacking the king's son, the young prince, grabbing him out of his home and dropping him from the sky. Jefferson, seeing this with his own eyes, he has no doubt that it was Zala, but Wonder Woman refuses to believe that it was her, and she also understands that this will bring war and it will tear all of the kingdoms apart. And so because of this, she has come here to try to help in any kind of way. And in the midst of this conversation, this is where we see the arrival of Zala and Cal. The two of them come flying in because they do have super hearing, and they heard the forest and the loud crashes of trees just being pummeled through the forest. And so taking this opportunity, Wonder Woman would love to have a word with Zala. With the two of them going off to the side and having a discussion, Wonder Woman informs her of exactly what she is being accused of. And that accusation comes in the form of murder. Now, of course, she says that she has no memory of this. She believes that she is being framed, that there must be some kind of mistake. Maybe it's King Jefferson wanting to have a reason to go to war. Now, we know that it looked very much like Zala when we saw the attack ourselves. And so she could be lying. It could have been her, or it could have very easily been a shapeshifter. And though the Amazons are more than willing to stand by the Kingdom of Storms, Wonder Woman refuses to go to war with them, standing by the side of Zala, hoping that the two of them, they can find a way through this war to stop all of it from happening. And the relationship between the two of them is really starting to turn into a more of a Romeo and Juliet kind of feel. Now, this is where we pick up a little bit later, and we are picking up with Kal-El and Batman, and he has come to show him what he had found, because what they found was kryptonite. Alfred had wrapped this kryptonite in some lead armor that he had, and in doing so, it kind of dampens the power that it is capable of doing, making it almost completely harmless. Bruce enlightens him on everything that he has learned up to this point, believing that this came from Krypton. And after hearing this story, he has to ask Bruce, how did it affect you? If it is from Krypton and it is a weapon that could affect me, why did it affect you? And this is where Bruce finally tells him, finally divulges the information that Jor-El had told him. Because the truth is that Bruce Wayne, he is half Kryptonian. He is the brother to Kal-El. And as soon as Kal hears this information, he is completely caught off guard, with Bruce trying to make sure that the situation stays de-escalated. This is when things jump to 1,000 super quickly. And what we see is that kryptonite taken out of the lead armor, Kal-El grasping it and jamming it into the stomach of Bruce Wayne, grabbing Bruce and flying up to the sky. He lets Bruce know that this is their world now. It is theirs to rule, and there can be no challengers. Taking him up into the atmosphere and then throwing him down to the ground. With a giant crash, he lands in the field, and Kal-El, he leaves him there to die. But what Kal-El did not expect was an old couple making their way along this path. This is where they find the Batman, unwilling to leave him here to die. They grab him, noticing the kryptonite that is in his stomach, believing that it is poisoning his body. We see the old man take that kryptonite and rip it out of his chest. And in doing so, we see Bruce Wayne, he is jolted to life. with them discussing on if they are going to take him to the palace or not. He screams no palace, and then he passes out. And so if they're not taking him to the palace, they are going to take him back home. They are going to be taking him back to the Kent farm, because this is Martha and Jonathan Kent. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 6, we are picking up with John Constantine. He is drinking, he is mourning, he is finding all of his answers in the bottom of a bottle. That is because King Jefferson, aka Black Lightning, he was assassinated. And while a young boy comes in to try and comfort him, what we learn is that this is one of the Robins. This is Timothy Drake. John Constantine calling him out right here on the spot, telling him not to pretend like he cared about the king. He knows who he truly is. He knows that he is one of Batman's Robins, one of the spies sent here to keep tabs on everything going on. John Constantine, he had known this, and he wanted to keep him close, feeding him as much misinformation as he possibly can. And while this throws Tim Drake off just for a moment, he has to ask the question, if you knew I was a spy, why would you let me know about a magical assassin that was coming for the elves? The truth is, John Constantine wanted him to warn them, because while he may believe his own prophecy, he never wanted to be a part of fulfilling it. Tim Drake going on to let him know that he won't say anything to Batman, believing John Constantine to be a good man. Constantine forms a fireball and he puts it right in the chest of Tim Drake. As he flies into the hallway, he runs into Princess Jennifer, trying to figure out what is going on. John Constantine spills the beans. As Tim Drake goes to explain himself, she calls the guards over to arrest him. Jumping into action, he lets them know that he doesn't want to hurt anybody. Jennifer, not worried about this in the slightest, she electrocutes him right on the spot. And while she could very easily kill him right here, right now, John Constantine stops her. Because while he may be a spy, he may be a Robin, he is just a pawn to the bigger scheme. And so she lets him live, sending him back home with a message. The drums of war are beating, and the Kingdom of Storms are coming for the House of L. Taking us a day later to the Court of L, we have young Tim Drake sitting here before the court, telling him exactly what he has been told. A little hesitant at first, hoping that he would be able to tell this to Batman. The only problem, Batman is missing, informing them that there is a war underway, that it is coming directly for their doorsteps. That is because King Jefferson was killed by Zala Jor-El. Tim Drake had done a very thorough investigation. There was an attack at sea. Every sailor who survived, he bribed them, he would torture them, he would use any means possible to get information. And every single time, every single interrogation tactic, the answer was always the same. Zala Jor-El attacked them, and she murdered the king. Now, of course, Zala denies this completely, and the court, they really start to turn on Tim Drake, because while he's not necessarily defending their actions or their cause of war, he believes that peace can be found. Diana chiming in and letting it be known that if war is underway, Themyscira will be joining the Kingdom of Storms. They have pledged loyalty to them, and this will happen no matter what. And while Diana has tried to argue with her mother to have them stay out of this is something that the Queen of the Amazons simply won't do. As everyone is excused and our queen goes to think on this information, General Waller has one more insight, letting the queen know personally they could prevent Themyscira from ever joining the Kingdom of Storms if Diana were Queen of Themyscira. Taking us a little bit later, we have Kal-El, who is meeting up with Jimmy Olsen, asking Jimmy if he has seen any sign of Batman, but up to this point, that has not happened. This also makes us think, did Kal-El actually kill him, or is he putting on a facade? Is he making it appear as if he is not the bad guy, or is there someone going around pretending to be Kal-El? It does seem like he wants to end all of this. And to do that, he needs to go have a conversation. As we pick up with John Constantine, his grief has led to some very bad decision making. He is willing to make a deal with the devil, a deal with the demon. We see John Constantine, he summons Etrigan. This is not the demon he seeks. The one he seeks is the individual that is bonded to Etrigan, that being none other than Ra's al Ghul himself. Constantine has summoned him here to ask for a favor. Ra's al Ghul lets him know right off the bat that his assassins will not start a war. They will not go to war with the House of El or any kingdom. They are staying neutral in anything that is about to begin. But Constantine, he wants the opposite of this. What he wants Ra's al Ghul to do is bring King Jefferson back to life, taking him down to the crypt so he can examine the bodies. After looking over King Jefferson, he lets John know that there is no way he can bring him back, having a hole directly in the middle of his chest, having no heart whatsoever. This is nothing that he can work with. But when it comes to Jacob, the son of Jefferson, the young prince, there might be some hope for him yet. While he cannot guarantee he can bring him back, letting him know that when he returns, or if he returns, we cannot guarantee it will be the same Jacob you once knew. And what this will cost John Constantine, Ra's al Ghul says the children. He wants the Titans. Ra's al Ghul, knowing that they have been hidden somewhere by John Constantine, letting him know that he doesn't have to hand them directly over to him. He just wants their location. If he gives this to Ra's al Ghul, he will bring Jacob back to life. Taking us over to Themyscira, or in this age, what is referred to as Amazonia. We have Kal-El coming in from the sky. As he comes floating down to the ground, he finds himself completely surrounded by Amazons. One by one, each of them begin attacking him. All of their swords, all of their spears, they break as soon as they make contact, trying to let them know that he has no interest in fighting. He wants all of them to stop because he seeks their queen. He is looking for Hippolyta. As the queen makes her arrival, she lets Kal-El know that no man is allowed to set foot on this island. And though technically he isn't, because he is hovering just off the ground, Hippolyta drawing out her sword, letting Kal-El know that you sought after me, and here I am. She takes that sword, plunges it into the stomach of Kal-El, and it goes right through. Taking us a little bit later, we have Kal-El waking up, coming face to face with Lois Lane, and the lasso of truth is wrapped around him. She lets it be known that the queen had a magic sword, and sometimes she believes that every problem you can stab your way out of. As she begins to give him some questions, he quickly learns that he cannot lie. But Lois Lane is here to get information because something about this war has not been adding up for her. Lois had believed that she knew who Zala was, but after murdering both the king and the prince, she's not sure if she can defend the House of El and their actions any longer. Kal-El proclaiming that she didn't do any of those things. Having the lasso wrapped around him, he at least believes that she didn't do anything. Also letting her know that he came here to have a conversation, to stop this war before it ever begins. Getting this information, it makes Lois question a lot more things. Nothing is adding up. This sudden escalation of force. She knows that there is something missing here, as if there are invisible strings being pulled in the background, and none of them have discovered what that is yet. Lois fearing that she may not ever get the answers, or if she does get them, it'll be far too late. And that is because the Amazon army, they have already set sail. The drums of war are beating, and this battle is about to begin. Up at the El Kingdom, the harbor town of Gotham, we have 3 orphan boys who are currently staring up at the stars. Jimmy Olsen, Oswald Cobblepot, and Harvey Dent. All 3 of them orphans, all of them living in this orphanage. That is, until Jimmy Olsen is adopted by Perry White. With him being adopted and bringing their brand new son home, gifting him with a telescope because he loved looking at the stars. One night, while out looking at the stars, he believes he sees something. That something is none other than Prince El. As they make their introductions, he shows him the telescope, letting him know exactly what it does. This is the first time Kal-El actually uses one. Staring up to the stars, he sees everything. Jimmy Olsen having this infatuation with the stars, he can't help but start naming all the different constellations. But this night, it was a couple nights ago. Right now, Perry White is talking to the elves, asking them to look for the boy. He is not the only missing child. There have been a string of kidnappings, many of them rumored to be taken from the Gotham orphanage. Kal-El listening in to this entire conversation, hearing that his new friend had been kidnapped, he jumps into action. Starting at the orphanage, he begins to look around, and it doesn't take long for Zala-El and Bruce Wayne to show up, with Kal-El asking what they are doing. Our princess and princess, they discuss what might have done this. Of course, Bruce believing that it had to be a dragon. They see some children inside the window and think maybe we should ask them. If anybody saw what happened, it would be them. Going inside, this is where they are introduced to Oswald as well as Harvey. Harvey is in a very terrified state, unable to really talk about what happened. We see Bruce Wayne toss Harvey a coin, saying that he doesn't have to talk, he doesn't have to choose. Let the coin do it. If you would like to talk to us, flip the coin, let the coin decide. In doing this, it gave him some kind of comfort. And he goes on to describe whatever this thing was. It wasn't a dragon, it was something much, much worse. Letting them know exactly what direction this winged beast flew off to, knowing that this is where they need to be. Unable to see through the mountain because of all the lead, they can hear the children. This is where Zala hightails it right down into that cave, going as fast as she possibly can. This is when they run into Man-Bat. Seeing this giant creature, all three of them jump into action, laying a beatdown on him, as both of our Kryptonians give him a great punch to the face. We see him fall down to the ground, but the children, they rush over to protect him, and Jimmy lets it be known that he is not a monster, letting them know that he is also an orphan child, that he is only 12 years old. He wasn't trying to hurt them, he was trying to get them all together, to take them away from the orphanage. This is when it is divulged that somebody is experimenting on the children at the orphanage. We learn that this somebody is none other than Elizabeth Arkham, as General Waller smashes down the door, shooting her with an arrow in the shoulder and taking her into custody. These children have been saved, but our princes and princess are in some big trouble. As for Elizabeth Arkham, Waller is letting her know that there is another option outside of execution or the dungeons, that she will keep on doing what she is doing in service of the kingdom, that Elizabeth Arkham now works for Waller. This is what jumps us into our second story. 5 years have passed and we are at the Kingdom of El. We have the royal advisor Harley Quinn. We have Kal-El and Bruce Wayne. Harley Quinn and Kal-El, they are preparing to go out into the city because Kal doesn't truly understand the people that are underneath him. Everyone sees his family as gods, and gods are rarely ever loved. They are feared. He is going out there so that he may understand not only his city, but also himself, how he is perceived to the world. And so with the three of them putting on some disguises, or at least Kal-El and Bruce Wayne, because Harley Quinn did not bring one, on All Hallows Eve, they make their way into the city to see the common folk, a chance to see the other side of the kingdom. And while the others try to enjoy their time, Bruce Wayne cannot help but notice lawlessness is on the rise. They should be doing more to combat this. Trying to let him know he is being nothing more than a stick in the mud, Harley Quinn runs into a puppy. This puppy looking very identical to the one that Nightwing has in his current ongoing series. The puppy known as Haley, playing with a dog. This is where someone bumps into her and they steal her necklace right off of her neck. This is when our guys jump into action. The princes examining the situation, Kal-El recognizing that there is more than one of them. We hear the call go out, telling all the Robins to fly. as everyone goes off in separate directions, each of them chasing down a Robin. Making their way through the alleys, we have Prince Wayne that is hunting down the leader of all the Robins. That, of course, is Richard Grayson. As they are doing all of this, we see a carriage that is almost about to run over a little girl. With Richard jumping into action, he grabs her and he saves this child's life. But in doing so, it got himself caught. Richard is okay with this because he believes that the others got away. Unfortunately, they were going against a Kryptonian. There was no escape for them. Now, Bruce Wayne, he has a very cynical way of looking at this. That today they are robbers, tomorrow they're gonna be murderers. The Robins trying to defend themselves, saying that they would never do anything of that nature. In fact, they only steal from the rich. Very Robin Hood of them. And they do all of this, call themselves the Robins, because they are building themselves a nest. Not every orphan in this city actually has a palace to go back to. This is when Bruce Wayne cracks a smile, saying that that child had been saved because of him. This is when he offers him a job. This is where the partnership between Batman and Robins began. Now we're gonna jump some years back into the past. We are at Hob Forest, and we have a ton of knights that are escorting Bruce Wayne through the forest, taking him back home to the castle. But while they are out here in this forest, they are ambushed. This is where we see Bane completely knighted out. He is referred to as the King's Bane, coming in with his mighty sword. He is slicing right through all of these knights. Not a single one of them stand a chance. With Bruce Wayne being the only survivor, he lifts up his sword, but King's Bane is not here to kill him. He is here to pledge loyalty. And that King's Bane, he sees Bruce Wayne as the rightful king, not the elves, letting him know that he is not a bastard, that he does not live in the shadows of the elves, that he has more right to the throne than any of them, letting him know that when he is ready to take down the elves, that he can find him at the Inn of the White Stag, that if he comes, he will show him how to kill a monster. Taking us over to the White Stag, the King's Bane sits and waits. It doesn't take long for young Bruce to come walking through the door, ready to get his training. They waste no time getting it underway. King's Bane letting him know that someone with powers to take them down is going to take dedication and training, that he can't match strength with strength. He has to be the one to strike first, to live in the shadows by taking them by surprise when they least expect it. Ambush is going to be your greatest and almost only opportunity to fight against them. We learn a little bit about King's Bane throughout this training. A man that used to be on the palace guard, guarding the Waynes, was one of the proudest moments in his entire life. But that is when the Green Man had attacked. He was there that day when Bruce Wayne's parents had died, unable to protect them. He swears that he will see a Wayne back on the throne. The mask, this comes from Dr. Crane. He had broken his back and Crane fixed him, fashioning this mask and using what is known as magic. This is what keeps him running, keeps him standing up. Taking us over to the next day. The plan was simple. Young Bruce gets them inside, brings the King's Bane to the elves. And that is when they decide to use the one thing that can kill the elves. That is magic. Ripping off his cloak and pulling out a magic mace. A magic chain mace. He has come to end the line of the elves. That is, until Bruce Wayne cuts his lines. The fluid that was going into his brain, keeping him standing, doing exactly as he was trained to do. Strike first from the shadows when they least expect it. Bane pleading, begging his prince to find out why. Why did you do this? Standing in front of the elves, Bruce Wayne lets him know that he has captured the King's Bane, calling himself a Wayne loyalist. He wanted to kill them and put Bruce Wayne on the throne, refusing to lose more people he loves to magic. He will not let magic hurt anyone ever again, bending the knee, pledging loyalty to the throne to protect the elves from magic from this day forward. Bane saying that he taught him everything he knows, and that is exactly what Bruce wanted. He is going to use all of these skills to to fight against monsters like the Green Man, using him as an example for anybody that would try to use magic against this family. They throw him into the pit. Alright gang, so as we get into issue number 7, what we see is the Kingdom of El. Lara El, our queen, Zara and Kal-El. They are in full attack, fighting against the forces of the Kingdom of Storms in the Amazons. Our Kryptonians, they are letting loose. They are burning everything in sight. In the midst of the battle, we have Bruce trying to plead with his half-brother to stop this killing. That is when he is jolted awake. Waking up, we see the Kents standing over him, letting him know that it was a bad dream, running a fever because there is still a sliver of kryptonite inside of his body. Bruce quickly learns that the Kents, they're not alone. Also taking Haven here, we have Beast Boy and Raven. Raven coming in and letting it be known that Bruce is dying. Now that's what takes us over to the Kingdom of Storms. Ra's al Ghul had taken Jacob, the son of Jefferson Pierce, the king of Kingdom of Storms. After being assassinated by what appeared to be Zara El, Ra's had taken him to the Lazarus Pits to bring him back to life. This was at the request of Constantine, and while Jacob, he may be back, he can never rule as king. In fact, nobody can know that he is alive. In this time era, nobody truly understands resurrection. Not only that, they once had a king that was returned from death, and because of his return, he was driven to madness. A cautionary tale, but something that people are very superstitious of. If word ever got out that he was resurrected, the people would riot. But Constantine says that he has a way Jacob can help them to bring down the House of El. Meanwhile, Ra's al Ghul striking a deal for the Titans. He heads off to get his reward. Now this is what takes us back to the Kent house. We have Bruce waking up with Raven standing over him. About to use his heat vision, he stops himself very quickly. Looking around the room, what we see are the freaking Titans. Raven, Cyborg, and Starfire. Now Bruce, he tries to threaten them just a little bit, believing that they're monsters, believing that Raven is a witch. He has been trained his entire life, indoctrinated into believing this. Raven and the others, they let it be known that they put his life up to a vote. They know exactly who Bruce is. He has hunted their kind for as long as he has been alive, since the moment he could pick up a sword and ride out, with the Titans more or less storming out of here, doing this more as a favor to the Kents than anything else. The Kents, they sit down and they have a conversation with him. At the end of the day, they're not angry for who he is or the things that he has done. In fact, they are sympathetic to him, because this is a lot for him to take in. Just 3 days ago, he learned that Jor-El was his father. He was just betrayed by what he believes was his half-brother. His entire life, he has been told that people with powers, these abilities, that they are the monsters, that they have to be stopped, imprisoned. Now he is learning more or less he is one of them. Their conversation being quickly interrupted, and Jonathan Martha's name being screamed from outside. Starfire bringing in Dick Grayson, trying to figure out why Richard is here. All of the Robins have been out looking for Batman. Finding a piece of his armor at the crater site, he followed the wagon tracks back to this farm, with Richard trying to figure out why he is here with what he calls demons. Bruce lets it be known that they're not demons. He begins to apologize to Raven and everyone else for his actions and his words. But before he can finish this speech, using X-ray vision, he is able to see outside, and what he sees is the demon's head. Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul are standing outside. They are calling out the Titans, coming to claim their reward. Putting on his armor, he lets the Titans know that they need to stay inside, that Grayson will protect all of them. Martha and Jonathan Kent, they refuse to let him go outside by himself. because these aren't just two regular farmers. They used to serve in the L army, putting on their armor, grabbing their weapons. They walk outside with Batman and stand against the demon's head. The Al Ghul's, they are thrown completely off. They did not expect to find the prince here. Bruce lets them know that it is time for them to leave. These are L lands, which means they have no authority, no power in this place. As they try to say that they struck a deal, no deal was struck with Bruce, which means the Titans, they are going nowhere, letting the Kents know that his forces are hiding in the tall grass, that they are all soldiers brought back from the Lazarus pit, which means they have already died, telling them not to hold back. We see the fight break out. Etrigan emerges, and he goes to breathe hellfire onto Bruce, believing that this should have taken him out. He just learned that he is powerful, that Bruce is not what he has said he is. Punching Batman in the face, he goes flying back into the house. At this point, the Titans, they are more than ready to help, telling him to swallow his ego and let them do something. Not sure how Beast Boy is really gonna play any kind of part, only seeing him be able to turn into a dog. Beast Boy, he has seen some things in this world, being able to change into any beast that he has seen. We see him turn into a freaking dragon, and now it is time to wreak havoc. Dragon fire burning everything. The Titans jumping into the battle. The tides have turned. We see Bruce Wayne use his heat vision and send Etrigan flying, telling Talia al Ghul to pick up their wounded and leave now. As they make their retreat, Talia al Ghul lets Bruce know that you can't protect these kids forever. Not while your kingdom is in the middle of a war. The Titans and the Kents, they had not heard of this war just yet. This is where young Grayson begins to tell them everything about the assassinations, about the forces joining, about the imminent danger of this war about to break out. The thing is, Bruce has no intention of returning back to the kingdom, believing that his half-brother betrayed him. Not sure what he is, not sure what he stands for anymore. He is not sure if he can return back to that life. And while Grayson, he pleads with him, telling him that he is the rightful king, that they need him now more than ever. This is where we have the Kents part a little bit of wisdom on him. They talk about the first kid that they brought in. Now, at one point in time, they had been warriors, but they gave that life up when they found Arthur. They bring him up because he was an individual of two worlds as well, not feeling like he belonged here. It took him a while, but eventually he was able to get past this. And through this, he became a great king. They are letting us know that Atlantis exists. It is out there, and Arthur, Aquaman, he is currently king. Jonathan letting him know that you can't just stand by and watch this happen. You may think you're a monster, but you are the one person that might be able to stop all of this. In this war, there will be thousands of innocent lives that are taken, that with his newfound power, he may be able to stop this war before it ever begins. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are immediately picking up with the Joker. At this point, we have to assume that he is the Green Man everybody has been talking about, and we see him wielding a Green Lantern ring. More than likely, this is a counterpart to our crime syndicate Green Lantern, the Emerald Knight from Earth 3. For those that don't know, it's kind of like an evil version of the Green Lantern Corps, where the Green Lantern Corps, they have really become more like overlords. Because while Joker is flying over the staging arena for all the forces that are about to have their battle, the ring is letting him know that it is time. It is time for the kings and queens to fall. It is time for magic to end. It is time for this era to die. And so while Joker flies off and he does his plotting and scheming, we are picking up with Queen Anissa, and we have the Queen of the Amazons. With the death of Black Lightning, the Kingdom of Storms is going to war. The Amazons are joining them by their side, and so while they make their battle plans, we have John Constantine that is off to the side. He has some kind of secret weapon, and we know this to be the young prince, returned back from the dead. Constantine is keeping him hidden away and going to use him as a secret weapon. And the question does go out. Not really sure what is going on, but they feel like they might be getting pushed into this war, as if somebody on the outside is manipulating the entire situation. But Constantine, he is overwhelmed with sorrow, with the death of Jefferson Pierce, with the death of the king. Constantine is now on the warpath, wanting nothing more than revenge, believing that the House of El has stood for too long, that their evil actions have been overlooked for far too many years, believing that Lois Lane thinking this idea that someone is manipulating it is just her heart. Lois Lane always tries to see the good in people, but Constantine believes this causes her to really forget their sins or overlook their sins. The fact of the matter, they cannot overlook all the innocents the House of El has imprisoned. That is what takes us down to the El dungeons, having two very familiar faces. We have Dinah and we have Oliver Queen, the two of them imprisoned. Oliver is able to knock the mask off of Canary's face. With doing this, they have a conversation. We already know why Green Arrow is here. He is the one that tried or did assassinate the king. When it comes to Canary, they believe her to be a banshee, with her ability to scream like she does. She is seen as nothing more than a threat to the El power. As the two of them really start to talk some more, we learn that Canary's abilities, she really hasn't honed them in. That if she were to try to break them out of this place, it would probably bring down the entire castle. This is where Oliver Queen, he wants to teach her about aim, teach her how to hone her gift and properly use it to free them out of this prison. And so while they work on that, we jump over to Hob Forest. We have the Kingdom of Storms and the Amazons marching their way towards the House of El. As they make their way there, this is where they get intercepted by Harley Quinn and Amanda Waller, advisor and general to the House of El. They have come for a plea. They have come to try and stop this war before it ever takes place. They know what this battle will do. When you have Kryptonians on your side, Harley Quinn is being the voice of reason, saying she would like to skip all of the bloodshed and try to find some kind of common ground, find a way to prevent this war from ever happening. And the only thing that they want are the elves. But for the Kingdom of El, they are the monarchs. They are the heroes. They are the friends in this kingdom. The people wouldn't simply give them up. There is no common ground to be found. Knowing that they are unwilling to listen, they prepare to make their exit. This is when John Constantine absolutely loses it, saying that that is a general, that is an advisor to the House of El. What we should do is capture them right now and take them off the playing field. But the Queen of the Amazons and the Queen of Storms, they refuse to do anything to them. They came here as messengers. They came in peace to talk about hopefully stopping the entire war. To take them prisoner now would seem unhonorable. John Constantine not caring a lick about honor, getting ready to burn them alive. That, of course, is when the forest, it comes after the entire army. Vines in every which way. Soldiers fighting for their lives. This could very likely be the end of this battle before it even begins. That is all because of Poison Ivy. Doing this for Harley Quinn. We have Poison Ivy that sits here and holds off an entire army by herself, giving Amanda Waller and Harley Quinn the opportunity to make their escape as they sit here and try to battle through all of these vines. This is where we see the Joker come in with his Green Lantern ring. The ring letting him know that the armies cannot fall here. Seeing the source of all of this, taking Poison Ivy by surprise, the Joker flies in behind her and he puts her down into the ground. That is where we pick up with Queen El. Amanda Waller and Harley Quinn coming to her, letting her know exactly what transpired. But as they peer over the wall, the army is already at the gates. As Amanda Waller gets ready to let loose a volley of arrows, that is where we have Zara El and Wonder Woman coming in, telling them to hold their fire. They want one last opportunity to stop this war. Diana trying to talk to her mother, trying to tell her that this is not the way to go, and that if she wants to take this castle, she is gonna have to go through Diana. This is where Constantine uses his secret weapon, the young prince filling up Zala-El's lungs with water, Jacob using his powers to slowly drown our Kryptonian as she sits and pukes up water, Diana struggling to try and figure out how to stop this, to figure out what is going on, Diana looking up to her mother, and her mother does absolutely nothing. This is when the queen arrives, coming in, smashing the ground, sending forces flying back in opposite directions. And they tell the queen that she need not be foolish, to surrender now if she truly loves her people. She also goes on to say that they have her son, they have Clark. This is something that Queen Anissa did not know anything about. But the Queen of the Amazons, she doesn't want a battle. She wants the House of El to surrender, while Anissa would love to have these guys' heads put on a spike. The problem is, if you kill the El family, they will turn into martyrs. The people would be at war for generations, believing that there are other ways to end this, that nobody actually has to die. As the two queens go to shake hands, we see Queen El use her vision and she cuts the Queen of the Amazons right in half. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with Cassandra. She is currently trying to free Kal-El, with them being on Amazonia, with the entire army and everybody away. Breaking him out of prison, this is relatively easy. What she is letting him know is that everything is wrong, that this war must be stopped, giving him the lasso of truth to take along with him. Kal-El takes off into the air. He moves as fast as he possibly can, trying to stop this war. But the tragic events of this day, they were much faster than Kal-El could ever be. That is where we pick up on the battlefield. The Queen of the Amazons has been slain, Diana calling out to her mother. While the forces try to go in on Queen El, we see her launch off into the sky. This is where Kal-El runs into her, going to his mother, trying to figure out what is going on and what has happened. We see his mother punch him out of the sky, knocking him down onto the ground into the battlefield. The soldiers believe that this is yet another Kryptonian coming to attack them. With tears running down the face of Diana, she is now Queen of the Amazons, with Clark trying to let her know that this is all wrong, that she simply needs to listen. But in her grief, in her sorrow, she tells her Amazons to attack. With General Waller seeing that Kal-El has been struck down by Wonder Woman, she commands all of her forces to attack, and this battle is fully underway. Up in the sky, that is where we see the Green Man, Joker with his Green Lantern ring, the ring telling him to kill everything. As these two kingdoms head for mutually assured destruction, that is where we have the Dragon Flame come in and start burning everything up, trying to divide this battle. Riding that dragon is none other than Batman. Constantine seeing this dragon, seeing Batman, saying none of this was part of the prophecy. With Bruce landing on the ground, he confronts his brother. He confronts Kal-El, holding a sword up to him saying that you tried to kill me. Kal-El completely confused, not sure what he is talking about, and also not understanding why Bruce is calling him brother. This is when Constantine begins to recognize that he has been wrong. That if they simply look around, the Green Man turning on them, the El Princes are at odds. Someone has been manipulating him. Someone has been playing him like a freaking fiddle. None of this making sense to Constantine. We are taken down to the El dungeons. We have Queen El walking down here as she begins a conversation with King Shark. What we are learning is she is coming down here to cleanse. Using her vision, we see her burn King Shark alive as he is vaporized in an instant. That is when Dinah and Oliver Queen, they decide it is time they make their getaway, with Canary using her scream She is able to break herself out as well as Oliver, getting into the armory, being able to grab some weapons. She blasts a hole right in the side of this castle. When they look outside, what they see is the entire battle ongoing. They know that they only have two options: to face against Queen L, or to find themselves in the midst of this battle trying to make their way through. Taking their chances on the battlefield, it doesn't take long for Queen L to come flying out, chasing after them, saying that they are too powerful. This is when, from out of left freaking field, we have another Kryptonian coming in. This Kryptonian hitting Queen L, and we learn that this is also Queen L. There are two of them on the battlefield, completely identical, looking exactly alike. The Green Lantern ring telling Joker that he needs to run, with Alfred yelling out a command to use fire. We see Oliver Queen grab his crossbow, he lights that bolt on fire, and he shoots the Queen. As Queen L begins to light on fire, we see the transformation. We see that this is a white Martian, with the L's going trying to chase down the white Martian. It goes invisible and they are unable to find it. Not sure what that was, but they know that there is something bigger at play. A conversation between Alfred and Batman. Alfred apologizing, saying that he didn't know that they were here. He has told everybody that he is the last survivor of a war, but that war, it was not on this world. And that is when he reveals that this is not Alfred, this is Martian Manhunter. Alright gang, so as we jump into issue number 10, we have had 3 monarchs fall. We have 3 angry and grieving armies. A battlefield full of dead soldiers, dead friends, and all of them realize at the same time that they have been deceived, that they have waged war for all the wrong reasons. And in this moment, all of that anger is being channeled towards one man. That is Martian Manhunter. Diana is the first to pick up a sword and get ready to put Martian Manhunter down. But Bruce steps in the way. He tells her to hold. But Diana, in her anger, she is telling him to get out of the way so she can do what she is going to do. That is where we see Batman's dragon come in and let Diana know that the Batman asked you to hold. With Kal-El coming up, he gives her the lasso of truth, telling her not to worry about where I found it, but to use it for its purpose. Tying the rope around Martian Manhunter, we learn that he is not lying, that he means no ill will to any of the 3 kingdoms, swearing to Kal-El that he is loyal to him, his sister, and mother, and that he could not love Bruce more than his own son. With Constantine coming up saying that that is pretty definitive, that we now need to reassess the situation. Diana, in a fit of rage, she lashes out at Constantine, because all of his suggestions, they all led to this. His prophecy has done all of this. And John knows that there is no arguing with this, because she is correct. He cannot escape that he was the catalyst for all of this. He poorly advised the king, and it led them into a war. But Queen Anissa is the first to step up and say that John Constantine was played like a pawn with everybody else. The faith that she had in John Constantine, it was all shattered within moments, because this is where we have Jacob, the brother to Anissa. Many believe that he is dead. Many saw his body, and they even buried him. So Anissa must turn to John Constantine and ask what he has done. But before we can dive into all of that, we have the Queen of the Amazons that says we need to discuss what is going on. With all of them attending to their wounded, attending to their fallen, she lets it be known that all will be welcome inside the city. And while General Waller is very much against this, the Queen lets it be known there will be no questioning this. All soldiers will be fed and sheltered. and then they will discuss the true enemy in their midst. That's what takes us to a little bit later with Martian Manhunter standing before the queens. Martian Manhunter before them so that he can answer for everything that has happened. But before this can truly get underway, there is one more queen that is coming into the picture. That, of course, is Queen Ivy. She got word that the planet is in danger, and while she usually wouldn't leave her forest, the forest does come with her. And if the world is in threat, she should be a representative for the planet in this room. And so the four queens interrogate an alien, and Martian Manhunter begins to explain about his home world. A beautiful place to grow up, a beautiful place to raise children. But they were a divided people, the green and the white. Despite their differences, they respected one another. They existed in a relative harmony. But then there was Protex. He did not believe in harmony. He truly believed that the greens were inferior, and in a telepathic society, a thought can travel faster than any sense. He united the whites in fear and hatred. They tried to enslave the green, to force them to serve. But they would not serve, and they fought back. The Civil War began, but the Greens were not warlike like the Whites, not as ferocious as they could be. In single combat, they simply could not compete, but they were great thinkers. While the Whites took them out one by one, they devised terrible weapons. Weapons of fire that grew in destructive power. At the end of it all, the planet was scarred. Their war left nothing worth fighting for. And while both sides took very heavy losses, still Protex fought on. He decided if he couldn't tame the Greens, then they all should be exterminated. The Greens took to hiding beneath the surface. For months, they were forced to live in darkness. But one day, Martian Manhunter's wife had shown back up. When his son goes running up to her, we see that this is Protect. Martian Manhunter wasn't quick enough to stop the slaughter. That is when the last of the Greens had been wiped out. Martian Manhunter able to hear the thoughts of his son as he died. His son begging for him to save him. And while Martian Manhunter, he wanted to reassure his son. He wanted to lie. He wanted to tell him that he could go outside and play. The truth is, there was nothing that he could do. He buried his son in the dust of a former paradise. He abandoned his once lush home, now turned into a red desert, and he came to Earth. There were only few people that actually knew who he was. The Waynes were one of them, but the king and queen had asked him to keep it a secret. There was a prophecy about aliens taking over the world that included references to a green man. Afraid that this would cause people to go into a panic, Martian Manhunter stayed in hiding all of these years. But now they are curious on the odds that they face against, saying that the war was devastating. He would suggest that there are fewer than 20 white ones remaining. But Protex is one of them. If he is behind this, he is here to take your world. He is here to enslave your people. He even tried to engineer a war that would remove any power that is capable of stopping him. And in this, he almost succeeded. But now these kingdoms could be united as never before, with Diana knowing exactly where to point her rage. She knows who is responsible for their pain. She knows who has earned her fury. She is going to find Protex wherever he hides, and she is going to destroy him. That's what picks us up with our Joker, the Green Lantern, Alexander Luthor. As he sits here in his solitude, he talks to the ring. The ring tells him that this age will end. A new one will be born again. But it tells him that he will have no role in what is yet to come. The ring going on to say that they cannot allow somebody to have this much power who believes that inanimate objects speak to him. In a very confused state, this is where we see Protex go from invisible to visible, and he rips off the arm of the Joker. As Luthor goes falling down to the earth, the ring now taken from him. Protex taking that ring from Luthor's hand, he puts it onto his own. And now Protex has become a Green Lantern, letting Luthor know that he was just a tool for a small bit of time. But that time has passed, and now is the time for the White Martians. So we are picking up at the El Kingdom. Our story starting us off with Bruce and Clark. Bruce is coming forward and he is letting Clark know that we are half-brothers. And with everything that has transpired, Bruce is a little bit worried. He's worried on how Clark is going to take this news. That their father, he kept this a secret from them for their entire lives, not letting Bruce know until he was on his deathbed. But Clark, Kal-El being who he is, he wastes no time and he goes in to hug his brother, letting Bruce know that eventually he'll come to terms with the full ramifications of this situation. But he has always seen Bruce as a brother, and today he could not be happier that it is in fact true. And it also helps them explain why he has been able to survive everything that he has, why the Banshee wasn't able to kill him. But Kal-El does have to ask the question, if you are part Kryptonian, how did the shapeshifter stab you? How did it pierce your skin? This is when Bruce goes into detail about them tracking down that fallen star, where that meteor had landed. It was a giant green crystal. He learned that this saps the energy, it reduces them, it makes them mortal, it has the capability to kill them. And now Bruce believes that these shapeshifters have that meteor. This is what picks us up with Protex. We pick up with the White Martians. They have been working with great effort, but they have finally forged the weapon that they plan to use against the Kryptonians. They have crafted together a kryptonite sword. And while they have something that can kill the Kryptonians, they know that they must focus on Martian Manhunter, with a Green being among them. He knows all the secrets of the White Martians. He knows their weaknesses. And so because of this, he must be silenced. That's what takes us to Martian Manhunter in the dungeons of the El Kingdom. Being strapped down with the lasso of truth, we see Protex arrive. He has come to assassinate Martian Manhunter, and Protex really thought that this would be more of a fight. But seeing that they found a way to put him down, they found a way to bind Martian Manhunter. We see Protex with the Green Lantern ring as he begins to snuff out the life of Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter lets it know that he is not entirely powerless, that he can still speak, he can still think, and his thoughts have reached another. This is where we have the arrival of our Kryptonian brothers. Smashing down the wall, Bruce says fire, to use fire. With the Kryptonians catching him off guard, we see Protex flee away. But Martian Manhunter does let it be known that he is going to return, that they are going to come in full force and they must set up their defenses. And so anybody that can carry a sword, the weapons are passed out. The Lady of the Forest provides all of the fuel that they will ever need. And across the battlefield, they light the pyres. A giant bonfire at every single campsite. The fires will continue to burn until this battle has been won. Every house, every candle, everything is lit. Fire right now is their greatest weapon. It is their greatest advantage, going as far as creating a literal moat of fire using oil. And Martian Manhunter lets it be known that the Whites are cowards. They will not face this, but these cannot burn forever, that they must be ready for the attack. This is where Bruce finally lets Martian Manhunter free. After speaking with the Queen, they have come to the conclusion that he is not a threat to them. But more than that, Bruce is apologizing. After all of these years, knowing him as Alfred, having him by his side, he says the days of hunting those with powers are gone. And so Bruce heads down to the dungeon. He is letting all the prisoners know that he was wrong. He has realized that their enemies are not in the dungeons. Their enemies are out there. Their enemies are out the gate. They plan to take this world and enslave them all. And so they have come to free those that have been wrongfully imprisoned. Now those that are murderers, those that have done very bad things, they are staying in the dungeons. But those that have been imprisoned just because they have powers and abilities, they are being set free. And this includes Green Arrow. Now Green Arrow may have killed Jor-El, but he was tricked. He had been manipulated. And Kal-El, he wants to take this opportunity to bury the hatchet, because there must be understanding. There must be forgiveness. Neither of them are monsters, and the battle that they are about to fight They are going to need every bow, every quiver, every sword at their disposal. But then there is General Amanda Waller. She goes to the Queen. She lets it be known that the Batman is releasing prisoners from the dungeon, and Amanda Waller obviously has problems with this. But the House of L has decided they will no longer imprison the Powered. This was a rule of Jor-El, and the L family has decided that this is something of the past. While Amanda Waller is not happy about this, she obeys orders and she leaves the room. This is where we see the L family making their way to the spaceship, the one that had originally brought them here to Earth. This ship has the knowledge that they are going to need. This ship has the ability to create something that they can use against the shapeshifters. As the L's begin to craft this, what they are creating is not a weapon, but it is a Phantom Zone projector, a doorway to an unbreakable prison. This is what they plan to do with the White Martians, and so now they must go find them, try to stop them before this battle ever takes place. This is what picks us up with the White Martians, having dozens of kryptonite swords at their disposal. We have General Amanda Waller that has shown up. She is letting Protex know that you endangered my people. And while one of these White Martians goes on to attack her, we see him instantly burst into flame. You see, she has a spell of protection that has been triggered, making a deal with the demon. This hellfire cannot be extinguished, and so the general is letting it be known to not cross me. But what we learn is that all of this is because of Amanda Waller. Her and Protex, they had an agreement. They had a plan. And while Protex had failed, Amanda Waller is giving him another option. She is creating another opening that they can succeed, but only if Protex follows her orders to the T. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with General Waller and Protex. General Waller letting Protex know that right now they have been granted an opportunity. For the first time, the Amazons, the L's, and the Pierces are all in one place. And now is the time to attack. One fell swoop taking out all of the families. And while the castle may be surrounded in flames, Waller has a secret group at her command, led by Captain Deadshot. Tomorrow before dawn, the group will extinguish the flames. It will open up the army, and the slaughter can begin. But Waller lets it be known that she will not have any of her soldiers or people touched. That when this war is over, the world will belong to Protex. But General Waller's kingdom and her people, they will remain hers. This is the bargain that they have struck, the deal with the devil that they have both made. While we pick up at the kingdoms, we see that they have formulated a plan. They know that the White Martians will attack, and so together the advisors to the kingdom have given their advice. With the help of Bobo the Chimp, they have figured out exactly how they're going to handle this situation. And so while the kingdoms make their preparations, we are taken to the front line. We pick up with Captain Cold, and right now he is putting out those flames. As the flames begin to dwindle, as the fires slowly become extinguished, the sky fills with a green smoke. As the smoke prepares to engulf the front lines, this is where Canary lets out a scream so powerful that all of the smoke dissipates. And when the smoke clears, they see the White Martians wielding their kryptonite blades. This battle has fully gotten underway, and while the soldiers do their best to hold the lines, it is not long before we have the arrival of our heroes. Superman being the first to strike Protex, but as quickly as they get to the battlefield is as quickly as they leave. And with their exit, Protex and his forces follow. That is what takes us to Mount Kristoff, the final stand, with our heroes finding themselves completely surrounded. What the White Martians didn't know is that 17 years prior, the L's had appeared to humanity. It had been 17 years since they saved the kingdom from erupting volcano. A little bit of a push from the Queen and Princess, and this mountain erupts again. And with the explosion, flames go in all directions. White Martians flee for their life. And the icing on the cake, they had brought a barrel of oil up here with them, as this barrel is cracked open, covering Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. They are all set ablaze. And our heroes, set on fire, they begin to lay down the hate. Fiery fists of fury bringing down all of the white Martians. One by one, we see skulls cracked. Wonder Woman beheading the one that had taken out her mother, telling him that his name will live on only as a cautionary tale. As quickly as this battle began is as quickly as it ends. With Protect now taken into custody, we see that they have a Phantom Zone projector. Turning this thing on, they take all of the white Martians and they send them into the Phantom Zone, imprisoned far away for all of eternity. And while our heroes believe that this was the day of victory, there was still a loss to be had. That is what takes us to Alfred, takes us to Martian Manhunter, as well as Captain Deadshot and General Waller. General Waller making her return to the battle. And while Waller may have some magical guards, Deadshot does not. And so Martian Manhunter knows exactly what has been going on, as Alfred prepares to take General Waller down to the dungeons. When he touches her, he is set aflame. Bruce had heard the scream in his mind. He heard the pain of his anguished friend. And in that moment, the Bat Prince flew all the way back to the kingdom, only to watch Alfred die and breathe his last breath. Amanda Waller, taking an opportunity, she blames Deadshot, draws out her sword and drives it into his stomach, saying that Deadshot was working with the aliens, but she had discovered his treachery too late. But now the war is finally over. As we pick up a little bit later, preparing for a historic treaty, they have brought a pin to Bruce, saying that he should be the one to sign for the Elk Kingdom, that by all rights, it is his birthright, that he should be the one to rule, that he is both Wayne and El. And while he sees it as a great honor, he declines the throne, that he will do all he can to serve the kingdom, but he must not sit upon the throne. He will not sit upon the throne. As Kal-El and him have a conversation, he really wants to learn who he is. He wants to explore, to go to places where nobody has heard of the bastard Bat Prince. With Kal-El fully understanding, when he fought to protect them, he would always stop Kal-El from coming with him, but letting him know that when he does realize he is worthy to lead, he will gladly follow the Bat King. But through tragedy, blood, and fire, the three kingdoms were forged together as one. That day, they formed an alliance. That day, they formed a union. On that day, they formed the League. And that will be the end of this series. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Definitely a fun 12 issues. Tom Taylor really did knock this out of the park. The only thing that truly took away from this was all of the delays. Having to wait months for a comic book to come out really takes away from the oomph that is in the story. You know, and we're all pretty understanding. We understand that things happen, whether it be delays in printing or something going on with an artist or a writer and they can't get their deadlines out in time. We fully understand this, but it doesn't change the fact that having to wait months and months and months for a story to come out or a next comic to release, it really puts a hampering on the impact of the comic. And I feel like this is one of those stories that was hugely affected by it. If they had come out with these on a monthly basis, this story would have been huge. This would have been a comic book that everybody was talking about, because that's how good the story is and the writing is. The problem is so many people gave up on it because they didn't know when the next issue was coming, but it did end in a very good way. All of the kingdoms united, but this is not to say that there are not other enemies on the horizon. Others that would see this alliance as a threat, a consolidation of power against what they are. And General Waller is still very much in play. Needless to say, there is a lot more story here. A ton more opportunity. Whether you want to continue on the story or you want to take stories from the past, Tom Taylor has really built an opportunity for any writer to come in here and continue on some kind of medieval tale. I, for one, definitely hope that this is not the end of these stories. That at some point in time, Tom Taylor or somebody else is going to pick up the pen and continue on our medieval tales. But let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything going on with this story, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on with this story. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you are unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.